the person.
No, there was a QR code, but
I did that at the start.
no house. Nobody's talking.
Great to see you all today.
Go ahead, Coach.
Awesome.
How's Thule?
He's good. He'll be okay. The one thing about him, he is tough as nails and meaner than a hornet. So he'll be like he needs to be at game time, and specifically for him, it's a great time to be heading into a bye week to where you get another week to let yourself heal up.
How long did it take after the game for things to kind of the switch to flip to Oregon?
Usually what we do is we kind of have a 24-hour rule and philosophy. So we let the previous game soak in for 24 hours, and then when you turn the page. It's just like for us, what we have to really do with our players is keep them on the same wavelength of preparation. And I think that's one of our recipes for success is we don't let things get too big or let things get too far in front of us. We just keep them focused on the task at hand.
You kept those guys without a first down well into the second quarter. Then would they make some adjustments to kind of get rolling a little bit?
Yeah, and the thing about football is it's always going to be some ebbs and flows. So they end up making a couple of plays here. The biggest thing that we told our guys is when we have the ability or the opportunity to step on their throat or put the nail in the coffin or choke someone out, we have to be able to do it. And in our cases, there were some scenarios where we could have made our plays on third downs, or we could have made some picks to be able to totally change the football game. Those are the plays that we have to be able to make. And maybe it's great when you're where you are as a program. There are some things you could still coach when it comes to being able to be very active and aggressive on some coaching items for some of our players.
What do you make of the pass rush 5 games in?
The pass rush has been good. The thing that's probably more unique than anything, you may not see the individual recognition for this player having this sack or this player having this sack, but from a pressure standpoint, the quarterback's being very nervous, the offense is having to change to be able to block those two active pass rushers. We've seen it all kind of benefit in the overall pass defense. And that's, in the end, you still have to find ways to be able to get the W-I-N in the end of the day.
Do you think that's maybe a big reason why you really haven't seen teams take shots downfield on you guys a lot this year?
Yeah, potentially, and I think some of it could also be just the offensive philosophy that those particular teams have, but that potentially could come into play for sure.
After looking at the film, just penalties, are these some things that you're gonna clean up, or a lot of those 50-50 calls? And
Some of them are, but a majority of them are things you can definitely clean up on our end, especially just from some scenarios in my room. We have to play a cleaner game and just keep your discipline to where we're getting so overzealous and so aggressive trying to get to the point of attack that you kind of lose it. But you're right on the edge. It's what we call controlled rage, where you have to walk the edge and don't cross the line.
And the pass interference calls, what'd you see on those?
Yeah, that's some you're trying to go for the ball and try to make your play. And the one thing we tell our players is, in some of them situations, you never want to err on being aggressive. The thing you have to be able to do is just don't panic and continue to play with your technique. But some of those plays are going to happen from time to time.
And one more thing, just on penalties, it just seems like, with the pass rush you have and as aggressive as you are, there's been a lack of holding calls, a lot of people. Is there anything that you can do on that, like teach linemen to flail their arms or anything? Is there anything you can do on that?
Yeah, but the one thing about those, it's in the hands of someone else. So the one thing we try to talk with our players about is making sure you can control the controllables. And sometimes some of the reasons why is the balls have been gone and thrown a lot on time or sooner than expected. So most of the time you can't get in positions to be able to get a holding call, and that's just what it is.
Did you have a couple guys that played especially well in your eyes last Saturday?
Yeah, just overall being able to see MJLA up front, like he is what you call a full-time stocking stuffer. When you put him over the center of the guard in that A gap, someone's going to have to block him with two people. And seeing him being able to defeat the blocks and attack the line of scrimmage and make a couple of plays in the backfield, that was definitely great to see. And we think Dom Hampton may have played potentially his best game here as well when it comes to making tackles, making plays, getting guys down on the ground, and having some phenomenal effort plays on the ball.
What's your assessment on how your team's creating turnovers?
Well, the one thing that we talk about when it comes to takeaways, it has to be a mindset and things that you want to do, because offenses today, they're just not going to give you the ball. That's why they don't call them giveaways. They're called takeaways because you have to go take the ball. But it works out as a full team effect. For example, in this last game, the quarterback was under duress. Raylan Goforth had him in his hands. And so he was trying to flip the ball out to a receiver that he thought was open. And then now we have a guy who is on him breaking in front of the ball. And that's how you get takeaways. It's really going to be more of a team defensive mentality, and that's the thought that you have to have coming into every game. And believe me, we're not happy by any means, because there's still some things that we left out there, and we have yet to still, in our scenario, be able to separate a man from the ball when it comes to causing a fumble. So that's the next thing that from an emphasis standpoint that we're trying to stress moving forward into the bye week.
You talked about just the aggressiveness, but staying within the lane, if you will. What's the messaging against the big game that's coming up here? Because it's outside of the team. There's going to be a lot of hype and everything. What's that messaging about the team sticking to their plan and trying to minimize distractions?
Yeah, the biggest thing is know who you are, minimize the distractions. You have to keep your emotions in check, because it's a big game, because it's the next game. So we always try to keep the same mentality, the same thought process coming into a game, and you can't let someone else or the things outside of the game affect how you play within the game. And you have to know who you are, keep your discipline, and go make your play when you're at the point of attack.
Are you noticing teams staying away from Jabbar Muhammad? Is he locking things down as much as I think he is?
He's doing an effective job out on the field. So you do see that some, and I think that the one thing that he does well is he just brings a big added leadership piece when he's on the field, just because his personality is so outgoing. When you see him, he has one of the biggest, you can see him smiling through his mouthpiece. and that's what you want from a secondary standpoint. He's very confident, and you think some of those very items are definitely happening. And as you get into the meat and potatoes of your schedule now every person is going to have to be able to hold up and what you call DYJ, which is do your job.
You had Milton Hopkins out there in prime time as this game's coming down the stretch. Talk about him if you would.
Yeah, oh, my man Millie. And you know what? What he does exactly what you ask of him when it comes to the work in practice, the work behind some of the guys. And he's kind of one of the guys that is hanging in the shadows because there are some great pass rushers in front of him, and he always stays ready. And let's say one of the guys' face masks had broken or something occurred where he had to go in a football game. He's in the football game when the game's on the line, and that is our message that we send to all of the players. You don't know when your time to shine is going to come. You have to make sure that you're prepared to turn the light on. And seeing him come in and to be able to be effective when it came to rushing the passer, that's exactly what we needed for those 5 to 7 plays.
Can you picture him and Durfee as former quarterbacks now that they're edge rushers? It's kind of a unique transition by both of those guys.
Yeah, well, the one thing that is great about this sport is football players play football. In our case, I've had a chance to have 2 linebackers that did exactly the same thing. They were quarterbacks in high school. And they ended up being some of the best players on the field because in high school, guess what most good places are going to do? Your best players are going to try to have them touch the ball every play. So whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a running back, whether it's a receiver somehow, some way, you're going to try to have your best players touch the ball. And in most cases, it's going to be the quarterback or the running back.
Kind of looking at the differences between Arizona's offense and then Oregon's, what do you think some adjustments that you might need to make on the defensive side are going to be before this game?
Just the one thing you're going to be able to get elite skill at every position. When it comes to the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends, all of their skill positions are what we would classify as elite. And when you're at the point of attack, you're going to have to make your play. They do a great job of being able to stress you at all areas of the football field. And they have a quarterback that is obviously comparable to exactly ours. To where he makes all the throws. He does a great job of not being able to get sacks. And the biggest thing that we've seen from them is the production and performances from their running backs. Like those guys are elevated in every facet in the run game and probably even more in the pass game.
Coach, game time's been announced at 12:30. It's on ABC.
Oh, okay.
2 undefeated teams coming in, big rivalry game. Have you been in a game that's going to be this big?
Say it again.
Have you ever been in a game this big with 2 top 10 teams, undefeated, home game, sold out, electric, practice?
Yeah. I've had a chance to play in games just like this. In college, we played Ohio State. We were maybe number 8, and they were number 2. Also have had a chance to coach at Cincinnati, and we ended up 12-0 that year. So we were in exactly some of these games. So yeah, but this is what we tell young people. This is why you come to UW for games just like this.
All right.
Yep, thank you.
Coach Inch, appreciate it.
Morning.
Fire with Coach.
How frustrating is it to play against a team who's dropping 8?
Oh, I think it's complimentary of what you're doing, right? You're doing some things right and doing it really well, and you get in certain personnel groups, and they're going to give you that once in a while. So I thought Mike played a really good football game and made some really good decisions on checkdowns and able to get the run game going a little bit, which was nice to see.
Is your you've now scored 5 times with wide receivers going in the end zone in 5 games. Is the deception all gone from that element? Is it just a standard part of your playbook now to hand the ball to a running back to let him run instead of?
I think that it kind of matches our philosophy in general, just that, if a guy is a skill player on the field, there's a chance he'll get the football. And it could be, inside the red zone there for sure. I think that that's always kind of been part of our offense, that they're going to be part of the run game as well as the pass game. So I think that it's, Rome's got one, J-Max had it in the past. So I definitely think that's part of what we do.
Does anybody else do that?
Yeah, there's other teams. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's plenty of good offenses in the country that just, I think your job at the end of the day is make sure you're utilizing your best guys to the best of your ability and get the ball in their hands somehow.
Mike said after the game he didn't think the offense performed to its standard. Do you agree? And if so, what were the areas where that wasn't the case?
Yeah, I do agree. I think that the first half we did a good job. We had the ball 3 times, 4 technically with 20 seconds left on the fourth one. Scored 3 times. We were efficient, 12-play, 95-yard drive. Took what they gave us and stayed on the field, did a good job. We were 4 for 4 on third downs at halftime, so I was very pleased at halftime where we're at, and knew that there was going to be some methodical parts to the game. They limited us to 8 possessions total if you take the 2 end-of-half situations out. So I thought where we, really fell short was a couple third down conversions in the fourth quarter that I thought could have put the ball or put the game out of reach, and then obviously the big one was not finishing the drive, and the fumble on the 5-yard line was critical. It would have put us up 38 to 17 and really felt like it was out of hand at that point, and so I thought that could have been the icing on the cake there. And the execution on simple plays like that just has to be better. You can't turn the ball over down there. We almost coughed up another one inside the 10, and ball security is and always will be, paramount in this offense. So I think that part, and then just some easy third down conversions where stuff we do every day with guards squeezing on interior pressure, and you got JP running open on a mesh route, and just easy plays we hit all the time. So yeah, that part was wildly frustrating. Just the easy stuff that we didn't hit late in the third and in the fourth quarter that could have made it, a more convincing win.
Jeremy doing a little bit of everything, lining them in the backfield, splitting out wide. How nice is it to have an extra piece like that in this offense, even when you don't have J-Mac?
Yeah, I think that's where, we got to make sure. I think this game was a good indicator of, when you stretch guys too much, honestly, sometimes. And, Germ, we're hoping J-Mac is back here, and I think he will be, that you can start limiting some of that and potentially get more touches to a guy like Tybo, where you can start easing that up. But, we still always will have jet sweeps and things like that. But just having to line them up in the backfield, if we can alleviate some of that, I think it's great. The versatility piece coming more naturally out of a wide receiver position is what we would rather have. And I think with the emergence of DJ and Tybo coming along really nicely, and Will Nixon playing at a better level, that should be a little bit easier for us.
Coach, I think he dumped the ball, down more than any game this year. Just how excited did you get just seeing some of those guys in open space, and what's that going to do going into the Oregon game? Does that give them just a lot more to think about?
I think hopefully it shows them the discipline that Mike has. That I think it's anytime there's guys wide open like that you can check it down and get 15, 16 yards on a check down. I'll take that every single Saturday. I would never even flinch at that. Those are easy throws and catches, and, you let your best guys run with the ball in their hand. We love that. And so I think it certainly shows that, there's the opportunity for those things to happen and extend plays and get, longer gains. And even, the week before, DJ had one that got called back, but, that was a 25-yarder. So you're talking about big chunks of yardage. And when you're trying to move the football and take care of it, I think those are big opportunities we got to be able to seize.
And also, one of the plays that I really liked a lot was the throw to Josh Cuevas. We finally got to see a little bit of Josh. Can you break that play down a little bit?
Yeah, it was it was a two-way go there with Rome and Josh, just trying to get in on some of the mechanics we use for run blocking. That just like any play action play, trying to make it feel like run, look like run, and then 2 guys grab Rome and up the sideline goes Josh. And I thought guys did a great job executing that and had that really primed up. And I thought the sell was great on the play action portion of it. And then obviously Mike makes a good throw, and Josh has got some good tempo for a tight end.
What can you attribute to the success of your run game? Because obviously it's multiple parts.
Yeah, I think, I mentioned it the last couple of weeks. I think opportunity is a big part, right? You got to call more run plays to get more rushing yards. So they certainly were giving us some looks that, we needed to make sure we went after, especially early in the football game. If you were watching it, you saw they were closed, tight coverage, and we started hitting them on a couple, and all of a sudden the coverage structure changed, and so the opportunities changed, and we started to run the ball against lighter fronts and things like that. So I think there's a physicality piece, and, O-line that wants to run block, they want to show that they can be physical, and that can be a big part of our offense as well. And then I do think there's a piece to the running backs being more disciplined as well, and, staying on their tracks that they're supposed to, keeping square to the line of scrimmage. And I thought Dylan and really Will had a couple really nice runs as well, but Dylan really showed up that, the physical part of our run game can be a big part of the offense.
You guys got the ball back up 14 with about 4.5 minutes left. Like maybe Mike had Rome open on a go there.
On the shot?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your philosophy on that balance between trying to take that kind of kill shot if it's available, but also maybe running the ball to run clock?
Yeah, fair question. 4 minute, people are probably thinking 4 minute and for us, we're attacking style offense. And so, we were in 2 tight end sets that they were playing down on us, and we knew it was run opportunity. So to me, I was on the right hash, and the second call right after that was a bootleg to Mike's left, so his favorable side for a lefty. And so it felt really, really strongly that I'd held that call all game. So I felt like I had a shot and a play to back it up if we missed it, and then we, bootleg and, miss Westy and, a play that we execute pretty easily. So I think a big part of that is, I have the benefit of being at practice every day, and those are throws and catches that we see hundreds of times in the course of a week that we don't miss. And so there's a lot of confidence and an aggressive mindset to go get it and win the game, and felt like we had calls to back it up. And, unfortunately, that's one of the scenarios I was talking about right there, where we had an opportunity with 4 minutes left to really put the nail in the coffin on the first play, and then the second one, get a first down and stay on the field and really make things tough on Arizona at that point. And, at a critical point, we didn't execute very well. So that was, unfortunate. And I think in particular, that's the drive that Mike was probably talking about.
With your running backs, is it kind of a real competition? I know it usually is, but it seems like you're shuffling a bit, and Tybo's kind of moving up kind of gradually.
Yep.
Guys are kind of moving in and out each week as far as their responsibility. Is it that wide open? Are they, when they come to practice, they don't know where it stands, maybe past Dylan Johnson, I guess?
I would say that's accurate. I think that there's, Dylan is cemented himself as the one for sure. And I think that Will is probably the next most, trusted guy. He just knows everything. He's good in the run game, pass protection. So he's a good 3-phase player. I think those 2 guys have made a pretty clear 1-2 look. And then after that, I think that guys value, you have to bring value the best way you can and use your attributes. So right now, Tybo is good in open space, speed. He's got very good instincts in the run game. He has to continue to improve on his pass pro, and he is. He's done a nice job the last 2 times he's made available. So I think the other guys show up, and Sam Adams and Rich Newtons, that have to be able to show, the things that they can do. And, hey, here's my skill set. And I still very much believe that there's, especially in a bye week, there's opportunity for guys to shuffle themselves and advance their status in that room. And we'll keep looking at that. And I think, like I said, Dylan is really, the last couple games came on pretty strong and is getting healthier every week. And, we feel good about where he's at. And then from there, we just got to keep using those guys, because there's a lot of different tools and attributes that all those kids have that we can for sure use.
Now, Newton plays special teams for sure.
Yep.
Has a huge responsibility there. What's his situation as a running back?
Yeah, Rich is, honestly, there was a situation there where I thought we could have got him inside the 10-yard line and got him some touches down there, because I think he is a good threat to run in short yardage situations. And that's one of the skill sets I'm referring to, is a guy like Rich that is a really physical runner and does a good job between the tackles and That's where you can utilize what he's good at. So I thought there was a couple opportunities there when Dylan was a little bit more tired that we maybe could have slipped Rich in there and we didn't get him in. So we'll continue to do that. Rich is doing a great job at prepping beyond just the short yardage stuff, and he's got a great attitude, and he'll still make some plays for us this year.
With Mateo going down, you move Parker over to center, and, Hatchets are man on the right guard. How are they grading out, and how's that, coming together?
I thought for the limited reps that Landon got in, I thought Landon played really well. I thought he did a really nice job. And Guerin's playing well. He has to continue to improve on his pass pro. Run game, I thought he made a difference. Obviously, the holding calls are some of the things that are frustrating. So between Parker and Guerin having 4 holding calls, is rough. So those guys got to continue to improve on the little things with their footwork and keep their body in control so that they're not trying to grab people out of position outside their framework. But, with the exception of the holding calls, I thought G played really well. And I thought for the limited reps that Landon was in there, I thought he's never overwhelmed by a moment. Like you won't have any problem seeing him in the Oregon game and thinking about, oh, will he be, ready for that? He'll be ready. Now he's got a lot of reps under his belt. So they're coming along nice, and Juice is getting close to healthy, and so we're feeling good about that. Maybe adding some depth there as well, and just seeing how that plays out between those 3.
Landon and Parker are both young guys.
Yeah.
Do you see one more of a center than the other?
Good question. Naturally you would say Parker because he's smaller, and Landon would just physically fit more into a guard body. But sometimes, honestly, they look just as natural, if not more natural, with those roles reversed. I think Landon has played a lot of center in his lifetime and is really natural at center. So I don't think that there's anything that we have to stamp at this point in either one of their careers, but I think they'll both continue to develop at both those positions, and we'll see how it plays out in the future. But right now it's a good luxury to have that they're both playing well at both those spots. And they get reps at both the spots during the week as well.
Anything else for Coach?
Thank you.
All right. Good morning. I think you've heard a lot from the staff there. Some good things from the game. The score wasn't what a lot of people probably thought, or if you're a fan of the Dogs would like. But I thought the game got shortened considerably, and probably had some times that we definitely. Not upset, but just wish we would have put the game away, especially in the fourth quarter there. Had a chance to score and maybe even had a chance for a takeaway there. So, but, when we're talking about one play and 2 plays where we just need to be better, I like that standard that we're at. And the guys came ready to play. We got off to a fast start, up 14-0. Defense got off the field twice. Love to see that, and the offense, ready to go, being on the road, and then those are the things you got to do when you are on the road, because at some point, the fans at a home stadium, especially when it's a sellout, they're going to get behind their team, and we saw some momentum, and that's going to happen, especially when you face good teams. And they had some good players, but we knew that going in. I think our guys expected. And plan for because they do respect the opponent, and especially with Arizona and what they're capable of doing, that we expected to be a 4-quarter game. Now, we just can do a better job to maybe put it away a little quicker than we did. But proud of the guys. Good to have a bye week, and excited for the opportunity to be back at home against Oregon. So, questions?
Do you have a chance to be as healthy as you've been in a while by the time the Oregon game comes around?
Yeah, I think so. There's guys, the bye week is definitely helpful for a few that, are kind of on the home stretch there, or maybe even like a Thule who got dinged up. The bye week is really critical for him because, maybe this next week it might have been tough, but I'm really hopeful that he'd be good to go here in 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Was, any concern about Rome coming off after that onside kick?
Yeah, I didn't really. I know you guys asked me that question after the game, and I mean, I go literally from the sideline to the coach's office, drop my stuff off into with the locker room, and then to the radio, and then to you guys, and so I really didn't even realize, because he went off the field just fine. But heard he got the wind knocked out of him, and that was it. But definitely took a hit there. You can see it on the. See it on TV and everything, but he's doing well right now, and so a little sore, some things like that. We'll definitely use both of these weeks to have him come back. So more than what I thought, but thought it was just the wind knocked out of him, but he'll be fine.
You talk a little bit, you had a chance to talk to Mike that much since the game. He didn't seem happy afterwards, said you didn't play at the standard. Looks like he called the team together on the field after the game. What's he been like?
Yeah, Mike's been good. I mean, I think there's such a high level of expectation that these guys have, and there's great learning moments, right? You win, and I'd rather learn from wins than losses. And a year ago, we got into these spots at this very time and couldn't go on the road and get it done. And we've learned from those, and again, Mike has a high standard, high expectations, and so these guys are very critical of themselves. We're all critical of ourselves, and that's what you love to see. That your leaders are those type of guys, and so just talking with him. I mean, it's a play here, play there, and it's a great game he played. 75% completion percentage. Didn't try to force things. Really was in control the entire time. But he's just looking at one play, whether it was him or one play someone else could have made or one opportunity that's missed. So I love that about him. Oh, man. Oh, smaller group, but yeah.
What'd you learn after the Oregon game last year about that rivalry?
It's fun, special. It was big going on the road, at that time, getting a win there. There's a lot of things that, especially, you get so caught up in just preparing, you live in your own little world as far as just, what the game plan's going to be. But, you learn a lot just as far as the excitement, the passion, because you're not out there until after maybe the season's over, and your alumni and your fan base show their love and appreciation for getting that dub. So it's going to be a fun game. Obviously 7 and 8 in the country. So a lot of great football can be played on that day. That's for sure.
12:30 start. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Yeah, I just heard that here just a little bit ago. So, it's great. It's going to be across the country for everyone to see, and so, our guys, I think, play well. We've shown we can play well both morning or afternoon and night, and so I know our guys will be ready.
Are there any advanced statistical metrics that you look at, that your staff looks at, that you think is really important beyond maybe just what everyone sees, basic yardage and yards per play and that type of stuff?
Overall, you mean even self-scouting ourselves and things like that? I mean, you do the typical, right, end of the year evaluation of, points per drive, and, turnover ratio, and how that relates to, not just what you've been through, and you use those lessons to teach your team the importance of winning the turnover margin. I think the biggest one probably would be that I preach to our guys is just the combination of chunk plays through special teams, explosives, and turnovers, takeaways. And try to keep the main thing. Each side of the ball, we'll get into those analytics, those numbers, and kind of crunch them as far as, you're going to get probably more sacks and more takeaways on third down. interceptions, why is that? And then on offense, just, either trying to stay out of third down or understanding that that's what's coming and what you need to be careful of. So there's a lot of those offense, defense, special teams when we come together on Sunday. They'll give each coordinator does a good job of putting their summary together, showing some clips, being critical where we got to get better, but then really having some goals, and also just feedback that we give our guys on, this last week, the last 2 weeks, we've done a good job on special teams of being really plus 10 when it comes to yardage and field position. And that's a pretty big difference, being plus 10, for us. So each phase kind of has it, and then from a program standpoint, it's kind of that chunk yardage.
If someone were to ask you, I mean, even if you weren't coaching necessarily, but just, hey, who's got the best offense in college football, or who's got the best defense in college football? What are the stats that you would look at to evaluate that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, probably. You look at points, right? Offensively, but in the same frame, it's not. I just done this way too long to know that we didn't win a lot of games always because we scored 50 points a game. To me, you got to do it in the context of, are you taking care of the football? Are you putting your defense in tough spots? You may score really quick, but it's also a 15 possession game or a 13 possession game, and our game went extremely fast. Now, again, that made it where it was a little tighter at the end, just because there was less possessions, less opportunities to score. But I think, offensively, it's managing the game to where, you're playing team football. Defense, I think the one thing you've seen this year is, that I'm really excited about is just the takeaways, and we might even be giving up a couple more yards than overall last year, and the Cal game yardage-wise doesn't help us out. But I love that we're getting those takeaways, and I love that we're getting them earlier in the game. So those takeaways are huge. There's momentum swings. When you get 3 picks, that might get in the head of the other offensive coordinator or even the quarterback at some point, kind of wondering if we got to change, how we're attacking or, being more conservative and things like that. But, those are maybe some of the things I would look at.
If you get a choice to kick off, if they asked you what time you wanted to play, would you pick 12:30 over, say, 3 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Any preference?
Yeah, is our crowd. Our crowd needs to get here, 12:30, but I would hope that they would feel good about that and ready to go, just because they're big games and, it's an opportunity to see our guys play. So I just know that I never have control over it, so I really don't fret about it. I compliment our team. Even just last week, I did compliment our team because I think when we play a night game, I think our guys are in it and invested in all day, when a lot of people might just be sitting in a hotel room, just watching football, which I think is great because it gets your head in that space. But I think our guys do a great job of, getting back into the film, getting back into the tips and reminders and all the things that we do. So, but the guys will just do it and understand, their preparation and adjust. So it's good either way.
Just seems like 12:30 is, at least around here, has been the traditional kickoff throughout all the decades, and it's almost a show of respect that, we're gonna put you on that 12:30 TV slot. Everybody will see you from coast to coast. So.
Yeah, from that aspect, I definitely see. It's 3:30 on the East Coast, a lot of people are gonna be watching some football. So from that aspect, yeah, I agree, yeah.
Kalen, you've coached in some big games without giving specifics. So what's your overall philosophy to the players and staying locked in without making the game bigger than it is?
Yeah, I think it always goes to, how are you preparing in the games when it's not elevated as far as what either is at stake, especially if it was like the old playoff games we used to be involved with, where it was win or go home, and so those are high stakes games, and so you got to make your preparation great and elite when it isn't those type of games, so that way it doesn't feel as different. Yes, it's going to feel different because all the hype around the game. There's going to be some of those distractions, but But, you know, we just got to keep the main thing. And the standard of preparation, it needs to be the same. You know, there might be you know, especially with a bye week, there's going to be more that's put into just that one game plan, you know. But, you know, and then just be you. Just be you. Don't try to do too much. I remember trying to put in too many wrinkles and too many things way back 20 years ago for playoff games, semifinal games, national championship games, you know, and you know, your players then don't play as fast. You got to take all the work that you've put in the off season, spring ball, summer, fall camp. You got to stick to what your DNA is, what your identity is. And, you know, I feel very comfortable with that as far as, you know, our coaching staff knowing that and our players, just letting them play, letting them go out and make plays and trust and believe that they got what it takes.
With the turnovers, just going back to that, what do you attribute that to? Is just players understanding each other, the scheme, and playing faster? Was it an aggressive mindset?
With the takeaways?
I'm sorry, yeah, the takeaway.
Our takeaway, yeah, I think, you know, there's more anticipation. You know, I thought, you know, the interception this last week, you know, Vince Nunley seeing that, you know, Raylan had the quarterback in a grasp and didn't have him down, but, you know, one of two things were going to happen. Either the sack was going to happen or the ball was going to come out, and anticipating where the eyes were at. Just, you know, not having to think too much. And I think, you know, year two in a system with guys that have been now on the field, not just in practice but in games, you're starting to see that take shape to where they're playing faster, and they trust and believe where they're supposed to be, but they also trust and know and have confidence in their teammates being in the right spot to where they're not trying to do too much.
With the bye week, can you talk a little bit about the schedule? Guys get time off, practice, what you're doing this week and what you're focusing on,
Yep.
heading on.
Yep. Yeah, you bet. We came in yesterday, and then today and tomorrow the players have off. There's some young guy workouts going on, you know, some developmental workouts, you know, that are happening. But then Wednesday we'll get into a full team just workout, you know, getting back in the weight room and so forth. Thursday, Friday we'll practice. Coaches are on the road, you know, here today, tomorrow. Start working their way back by Wednesday, and then a lot of us will go hit some games on Friday night. You know, we'll leave right after practice on Friday. Some more prep on Saturday as a staff, and then Sunday we'll get into you know, a practice, lifts, runs, and then we'll get into our normal game prep, normal week.
Is there one guy that you can think of that just needs this bye week more than anybody else?
I just think there's, you know, you guys know who all the guys are that are dinged up or trying to recover. Those guys all need it. You know, and there's guys that are playing through stuff that it's just a great time. And I think just for our whole team, you know, they've been going since August 1st, and you know, that bye week happening right now with school starting and all that, you know, it gives them a chance to get off to a good start there. And a lot of positives to where it's at. But, you know, we're not through the schedule halfway yet, but we're through a lot of the football season when you take into account 4 weeks of fall camp and how these guys have been grinding. So it's good mentally and physically.
We kind of look ahead at Oregon. What are some of the things that you might have saw in the Arizona game that you just want to see improved for this next one?
Well, I just know that I know what the game's going to be. It's going to be physical, you know. You know, from a run offense standpoint, they're just doing a good job. Everything I've seen so far with running the football, balancing that with obviously Nix as a quarterback. He's an elite quarterback, and so some skill players all around, you know, that make plays. And so the balance, you know, which is what we saw a little bit. Arizona had more balance, you know, than what they had a year ago. We knew that going in, and their willingness to, I don't know if you say commit, but run the ball a little bit more. You know, that's what we got to keep getting ready for. I feel like we do a good job against the run, you know, and try to make teams one-dimensional, but this will certainly be our biggest test by far going into that game. And then flipping it over, you know, just defensively, I feel like they're dialed in a little bit more too on who they are and what their identity is, even from a year ago, you know, and letting their guys play fast and free. Great athletes on both sides of the ball, but defensively, you know, flying around and really holding teams in check, you know, not letting really games ever get away from them or even drives get away from them. So, great challenge for us, but, we're very confident in what we can do as well.
They have a new offensive coordinator. Do you see much difference schematically from what you saw from?
I haven't really had a chance to actually get that in depth into what they're doing. I think a lot of times it's always similar plays that you're running, especially the success they had a year ago. You keep some of those things intact and maybe just build off of it, no matter who a coordinator is and what their style is. But I think a lot of the times it's just maybe tendencies and, what you do in these down and distance situations, how aggressive that coordinator might be, and so forth. So I don't have a great answer for you yet at this point.
Could you talk about Josh Cuevas' upside? You talked about him as a blocker, that he's got some skills there, but it's been a few seasons since we've seen a guy go 60 yards from that position down the field.
Yeah, I think that's what we have seen too. I mean, this spring, it was eye-opening. Honestly, what we saw in the game on Saturday is what I was thinking we were getting more of. And then in the spring, we really saw him and his physicality being even better than what we expected. Just those blocks in the interior against defensive ends and blocking up front against linebackers there. But the play he made on Saturday doesn't surprise me at all. He's got an explosiveness to him. He's really smooth. That was apparent, to our guys, even when they were doing player run practices and they'd come back and tell us, hey, Cuevas is a pretty good guy with his hands. And, that was exciting, and saw what we saw, building off that in the spring. And now, he just happens to be in the right place. I mean, there's other guys that we had that were ready to run that play too, but he got thrown in the mix on that one, and the ball ended up in his hands. There's multiple guys that play could have gone to, but he made the play when the opportunity came up. So, I think about the route down the sideline that Demo threw him early in the season for a touchdown. He's that type of playmaker, so that's exciting for the future.
So how did you find him in the portal? And, I know he puts his name out there, and how do you find a guy from Cal Poly that's kind of, got something special, but maybe it's not widely known?
Yeah, I think I credit our recruiting staff, our both sides of the ball, but in this particular case, the offensive staff and Coach Sheridan, just not leaving no stone unturned. And it isn't always about the higher profile guys. It's about the guys that you think are really good football players, and you just dive into their past history, and find out hey, they're not reached their peak yet. They're developing. This guy can grow into even being bigger, and stronger, and just getting him right in the right spots and utilizing him in our offense. And he fits, what we want to be and what type of player we want in that position. So credit to our recruiting staff on not just, looking and seeing, hey, we want this guy from this spot, the higher profile guys, and taking Josh. And once we really dove into it, we saw a lot of potential, and we were very excited.
Was there any previous connection? Guys, anybody recruit him off your staff before?
There might have been. Maybe that's even how it started in some case, but nothing that, we've discussed or that I knew about. Yeah.
Coach, when Jen Cohen left, you told us that you were going to be involved in, some of the search for the athletic director. Have you been involved, or is there anything you can?
Yeah, lots. I know it's continuing to move forward. Lots of just whether it's meetings and some of it's just even updates. And President Kause has done an amazing job of keeping me in the loop and definitely intentional in keeping me involved. As well as the other head coaches. And so, I know that process is moving along very well. And I think, in the coming weeks, there's opportunities to have discussions, with people and kind of see how it goes,
When do you guys shall have somebody in place? Any idea?
I don't know an exact timeline. I wouldn't want to be the one that commits to that, so.
You haven't thrown your hat in the ring yet?
No way. Handling one team's a tough enough job. Handling 21 more teams would be something beyond what I'm interested in doing, so.
You could just do football and softball.
Yeah. No, we have a really good coach in that position too. So that spot's definitely taken care of. So, all right.
All good?
Thank you guys. Yep.